This is the story of every American plane that took to the skies in World War II. From nimble fighters to massive bombers, from vital transports to early drones, each aircraft had its mission, and some left a mark on history. Join us as we explore their role in the skies of World War II. Let's begin with Fighters and Interceptors. The LP-39 Aerocobra. This featured a truly unique car door entry. Its main strength was the 37mm cannon firing right through the propeller hub. It saw extensive, successful service in the Soviet Air Force. Boeing P-26 Peashooter, a pre-war relic. This was America's last fighter with an open cockpit and fixed landing gear. It was obsolete by 1941, but served bravely in the Philippines. Brewster F-2A Buffalo. Despite being bulky, it was the US Navy's first monoplane fighter. It performed poorly against the Zero in the Pacific, but saw unexpected success with Finnish pilots. Curtiss P-36 Hawk, an early modern fighter design. It performed well in French service during the Battle of France. It was mostly relegated to training or colonial duty by 1941. Curtiss P-40 Warhawk, a dependable, rugged fighter. It was the backbone of the AAF at the start of the war. Its low-altitude performance made it famous with the Flying Tigers. The next one, Grumman F-4F Wildcat, a tough, slow, but reliable carrier-based fighter. Its ability to absorb incredible punishment made it essential during the early Pacific naval battles. Grumman F-6F Hellcat, known as the Zero Killer. This robust machine replaced the Wildcat. It achieved a staggering 19-to-1 kill ratio against Japanese planes. Lockheed P-38 Lightning, distinctive twin booms defined this magnificent long-range escort. It was the only American fighter in large-scale production from Pearl Harbor to VJ Day. Then Lockheed P-322 Lightning. This was a stripped-down export version of the Lightning intended for Britain and France. It was later retained by the US after the fall of France. North American P-51 Mustang, arguably the finest piston-engined fighter of the war. With the installation of the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, it provided crucial long-range escort deep into Germany. Northrop P-61 Black Widow, America's first dedicated radar-equipped night fighter. This large, powerful aircraft utilized a three-man crew to hunt nocturnal enemy bombers. Republic P-35, an early all-metal fighter design from Seversky. It was a stepping stone toward the famous Thunderbolt, providing valuable pre-war experience to pilots. Republic P-43 Lancer. This served as an important high-altitude interim fighter. Many were shipped to China where they provided valuable service until the P-40 arrived. Republic P-47 Thunderbolt, known affectionately as the Jump. This massive fighter was incredibly durable, fast in a dive, and an absolutely devastating ground attack platform. Seversky P-35, an innovative pre-war design that helped transition the Army Air Force to modern monoplanes. It served briefly before being replaced by newer types. Vought F-4U Corsair, the Whistle Death. Its inverted gull-wing design accommodated a massive propeller. It became one of the fastest and most iconic carrier fighters of the conflict. Next up, bombers. Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress, the iconic four-engined heavy bomber. It was famous for its incredible ability to withstand massive enemy flak and fighter attacks over Europe. The next one, Consolidated B-24 Liberator, extremely common. This bomber was known for its massive load capacity and exceptional range. It saw more production than any other American aircraft. Boeing B-29 Super Fortress, a technological marvel of its time. This very heavy bomber delivered the atomic bombs and was key to the final defeat of Japan. Douglas B-18 Bowman, a pre-war medium bomber. It was quickly relegated to transport and coastal patrol duties early in the war due to its low speed. Douglas B-23 Dragon, an improved version of the B-18. It also saw little combat and was primarily used as a high-speed executive transport across the continental United States. Martin B-26 Marauder, nicknamed the Widowmaker, early on due to its high landing speed requirements. Once mastered, it became a highly effective and very tough medium bomber. North American B-25 Mitchell, famous for the Doolittle raid. This extremely versatile medium bomber flew missions ranging from high-level bombing to low-level strafing runs. Lockheed Ventura, developed from the Lodestar transport, it served primarily with the Royal Air Force for patrol and bombing, and later with the U.S. Navy as a patrol bomber. Next, Douglas A-20 Havoc, a nimble, fast, and very effective light bomber. It served extensively as a night intruder and ground strafer across all theatres of operation. Douglas A-24 Banshee, the Army Air Force version of the famous SBD Dauntless dive bomber. It suffered heavy losses in early Pacific operations, particularly in the Dutch East Indies. Douglas A-26 Invader, a fast, highly versatile twin-engined light bomber. It arrived late in the war, but proved invaluable for its speed and phenomenal ground attack firepower. Martin, Maryland, a light attack bomber primarily supplied to France and Great Britain. It played an important role in the early fighting in North Africa and the Mediterranean. Martin, Baltimore, an evolution of the Maryland. This tough, reliable aircraft served extensively with British and Commonwealth forces, especially in the harsh Mediterranean theatre. The next one, North American A-36 Apache. This was the dive bomber variant of the P-51 Mustang. It was widely used in North Africa and the Mediterranean for precision ground attack missions. Northrop A-17, a sturdy pre-war monoplane attack aircraft. It was rapidly declared obsolete and mostly used for training purposes early in the war. Vultee Vengeance, a dedicated two-seat dive bomber. It was heavily used by the Royal Air Force and Royal Australian Air Force in the Southeast Asia theatre. Curtiss SB-2C Helldiver, nicknamed the Beast. While powerful, this dive bomber was initially plagued by poor handling and reliability issues. Though it matured later in the war, Douglas SBD Dauntless, the decisive dive bomber of the early Pacific War. Its pinpoint accuracy was instrumental in sinking Japanese carriers at the Battle of Midway. Next, Douglas TBD Devastator, the US Navy's first monoplane torpedo bomber. It was tragically slow and obsolete, suffering devastating losses at Midway before being retired. Then, Grumman TBF Avenger, a rugged torpedo bomber that replaced the Devastator. It was reliable, powerful, and essential for carrier strikes throughout the later conflict. Vought SB-2U Vindicator, a pre-war scout bomber. It saw some limited use early in the war, notably at the Battle of Midway, but was quickly replaced by more modern dive bombers. Next up, patrol and flying boats. Boeing 314 Clipper, not strictly a combat plane, but this famous civilian flying boat was requisitioned for wartime transport. It provided vital long-distance logistics routes across the oceans, consolidated PBY Catalina, the iconic workhorse patrol bomber, slow but incredibly durable and long-ranged. It was essential for reconnaissance, anti-submarine warfare, and rescue. Up next, consolidated PB-2Y Coronado, a very large four-engined flying boat. It was primarily utilized for long-range transport across the vast distances of the Pacific Theater, moving critical personnel and cargo. Consolidated PB-4Y2 Privateer, a single-tailed evolution of the B-24 Liberator designed specifically for long-range maritime patrol duties for the US Navy. Douglas Dolphin, a small high-winged amphibian used mainly for coastal patrol and light utility transport roles early in the conflict. Grumman J2F Duck, a reliable utility biplane amphibian. It was widely used for air-sea rescue, coastal patrol, and general target towing operations. Grumman J4F Widgeon, a smaller twin-engine amphibian. It served mainly as a light utility transport and anti-submarine patrol aircraft along the US coastline. Grumman JRF Goose, the larger twin-engine predecessor to the Widgeon. It was a highly successful utility transport amphibian used extensively by the military and Coast Guard. Hall PH, a large patrol flying boat used by the Coast Guard. It was derived from earlier naval aircraft factory designs and served throughout the early war. Martin PBM Mariner, a twin-engine patrol bomber flying boat. It was a mainstay of anti-submarine warfare operations, particularly essential in the Battle of the Atlantic. Naval Aircraft Factory N3M, a rugged, bright yellow biplane primary trainer. It was affectionately nicknamed Yellow Peril, and taught thousands of naval aviators how to fly. Continuing with transports and utility, Beechcraft C-45 Expeditor, the military version of the Model 18 light transport, served reliably as a high-speed utility and liaison aircraft throughout the conflict. Bud RB-1 Conestoga, a unique transport aircraft built largely of stainless steel. It featured a large clamshell cargo door for easy loading of vehicles. Up next, Cessna C-165 Air Monster, a small high-winged civilian aircraft pressed into military service as a light utility transport and liaison plane during the immediate wartime build-up. Consolidated C-87 Liberator Express, a dedicated transport conversion of the B-24 bomber airframe. It was essential for long-range, heavy logistics across the Atlantic and Pacific theaters. Curtiss C-46 Commando, a massive, powerful twin-engine transport. It was the largest and heaviest twin-engine plane used by the Allies, vital for flying the hump route. Douglas C-32, an early DC-2 transport version. This represented a small number of pre-war airliners that were impressed into military service early in the war. Douglas C-47 Skytrain, the unparalleled military transport workhorse. It was reliable, easy to maintain, and crucial for airborne operations and supply routes worldwide. Now this is the Douglas C-53 Skytrooper. This was the troop transport variant of the C-47 Skytrain. It featured bench seats and lacked the large rear cargo doors of the C-47. Douglas C-54 Skymaster, a four-engine transport that provided long-haul capabilities, especially for V-1P transport and transatlantic routes. It was essential for major logistical moves. Fairchild Argus, the military designation for the civilian Fairchild F-24. It served primarily as a light transport and liaison aircraft for commanders in the European theatre. Howard GH, a light utility transport used by the Navy. It was derived from a fast civilian racer aircraft and provided high-speed communication. Lockheed Electra, an elegant twin-engined airliner pressed into limited military service as a transport and navigation trainer early in the conflict. Lockheed Lodestar, a larger, faster version of the Electra. It served extensively with the Royal Air Force and the U.S. military as a fast utility transport. The next one, Nordwing Norseman, a rugged, high-winged Canadian bush plane. It was used by the U.S. Army for transport and liaison duties, especially in difficult terrain. Stinson Reliant, a high-winged monoplane often used for light transport, ambulance duties, and limited anti-submarine patrol roles. The next one, Lockheed Vega, a single-engine monoplane used for light transport and communication duties. It was known for its speed and smooth wooden construction. Let's move on to trainers. Beechcraft AT-7 Navigator, a twin-engined advanced trainer specifically designed to teach navigation and radio procedures to future bomber crews. The next one, Beechcraft AT-10 Wichita, a twin-engine trainer built primarily of wood to conserve vital wartime metals. It was used to transition pilots to twin-engine operations. Beechcraft AT-11 Kansan, another twin-engine trainer, but specifically equipped for bomb aiming and gunnery instruction for bomber crews. Now, this is the Boeing Stearman Cadet, the primary biplane trainer for both the Army Air Force and Navy. Known for its slow speed and forgiving nature, it was essential for basic flight instruction. A Cessna AT-17 Bobcat, a twin-engine advanced trainer known to pilots as the Bamboo Bomber because of its partial wooden construction. The next one, Curtiss Wright AT-9 Fledgling, a demanding twin-engine trainer. It was designed to transition pilots from single-engine trainers to the high-performance twin-engine bombers. Curtiss Wright SNC Falcon, a compact advanced trainer utilized by the Navy. It was a low-wing monoplane intended for the final stage of flight training. Fairchild PT-19 Cornell, a simple, reliable monoplane primary trainer. Its open cockpit and low-wing design made it an excellent introductory aircraft. The next one, Fairchild AT-21 Gunner, an unusual twin-boom trainer designed specifically to train gunners and bombardiers. It was difficult to manufacture and saw limited use. Then Fleetwing's BT-12 Sophomore, unique because it was the first military aircraft built entirely of stainless steel. It saw very limited service as a basic trainer. Up next, North American 86 Texan, perhaps the most famous advanced trainer of all time. It was used to hone the skills of virtually every Allied fighter plane. North American BT-9, an early basic trainer that paved the way for the far more successful AT-6 Texan. It was used for initial combat tactics instruction. Ryan PT-22 Recruit, a popular low-wing primary trainer known for its radial engine sound. It provided reliable basic flight instruction for thousands of pilots. Vultee BT-13 Valiant, a rugged fixed-gear basic trainer. It was nicknamed the Vultee Vibrator due to its slight instability, but was essential for intermediate training. Piper PT-1, this was the first tricycle landing gear primary trainer evaluated by the U.S. Army. It was only produced in small numbers for crucial testing. Next up, Liaison Observation and Reconnaissance. Aeronca L3 Grasshopper, one of the simple, high-winged light observation planes. It provided crucial artillery spotting and liaison duties, operating from primitive strips. Curtiss O-52 Owl, a high-wing observation monoplane built just before the war. It was quickly relegated to coastal patrol and liaison due to its slow speed. The next one, Curtiss SC Seahawk, a late-war high-performance float plane designed to replace the Kingfisher. It was faster and more heavily armed, although it saw limited combat before VJ Day. Curtiss SO-3C Seamew. Intended to replace the Seagull, this scout observation float plane was plagued by instability and engine issues and was quickly retired from operational use. Curtiss SOC Seagull, a reliable, sturdy biplane float plane launched from battleships and cruisers. It was primarily used for spotting and air-sea rescue. Interstate L6 Cadet, a simple two-seat high-wing monoplane used for liaison and observation duty. It was a less common variation of the widespread Grasshopper design. Up next, North American O-47, a large three-seat observation monoplane that was obsolete by the war's start. It saw brief use in coastal patrol before becoming a trainer. Piper L4 Grasshopper, the most famous of the light observation planes. It was essential for low-level reconnaissance and artillery fire direction right on the front lines. Piper L-14 Cadet, a slightly larger version of the famous L4 Grasshopper, designed to carry more personnel or equipment for liaison purposes. Stinson L-1 Vigilant, designed for short field takeoff and landing. This aircraft provided observation and utility transport in rugged forward conditions. Stinson L-5 Sentinel, known as the Flying Jeep. It was a dependable liaison aircraft used for ferrying personnel and evacuating wounded from small improvised fields. Taylorcraft L-2 Grasshopper, another crucial member of the light observation fleet, often used for reconnaissance and command transport right behind the front lines. Vought OS-2U Kingfisher, the quintessential ship-based float plane, durable and essential for air-sea rescue and spotting roles throughout the entire conflict. Now let's look at gliders. Waco CG-4 Hadrian, the most famous and widely used American transport glider. It could carry 15 troops or a jeep and a small howitzer for airborne assault. Leyster Kaufman TG-4, a tandem-seat training glider. It was used to teach future cargo glider pilots the delicate art of unpowered flight and landing. Continuing with helicopters. Sikorsky R-4 Hoverfly, the world's first mass-produced helicopter. It saw limited service for reconnaissance and rescue, demonstrating the potential of rotary flight technology. Sikorsky R-5, a powerful two-seat helicopter intended for utility and rescue work. It was a significant step up in capability from the earlier R-4. Next, Sikorsky R-6, an improved version of the R-4, designed to be faster and more stable. It was used primarily for observation and liaison roles in the late war, finishing off with drones and pilotless aircraft. Culver PQ-8, a radio-controlled target drone used extensively to train anti-aircraft gunners. It represented an early step in autonomous flight development. Culver PQ-14, a larger, faster, and more advanced radio-controlled target than the PQ-8. It improved the realism of essential anti-aircraft training. Interstate TDR, an early naval radio-controlled assault drone. These primitive flying bombs were tested for use against heavily defended Japanese targets.